go to the market and got cheated by every trader there. What's worse, my lazy neighbor Jeddah keeps asking to go with me to the market, and she wants to ride my donkey the whole way, and I have to ride in the dust. Well, she sits on top and complains the whole time. And so I have to get up first and sneak out, and out it goes. Ah! Oh, Masa'al. Out it goes. Masa'al. Wa salam alaikum. Wa alaikum salam. Wa kayfa halikum? Oh, yeah, Araguz! Oh, Lisa, you know how God sets upon me such trials and tribulations. And aches, and pains, and such troublesome children and unhelpful neighbors. Wait, what? Oh, I complained, Taban, ya Araguz. Yes. What do you want, ya Jeddah? Ya Araguz, may I trouble you to follow your donkey to ride to the market, as I see you have gone. No, ya Jeddah, you cannot borrow my donkey because I sold the donkey. Yes, I sold that donkey just, yesterday. He had, 1 eye and 3 legs, so I sold that winky wonky donkey. I sold him to a country band so he can play honky tonky as he always dreamed. Oh, yeah, Araguz. I can hear that donkey from your barn right now. You fool! You take the word of an ass over mine! Ah! And the moral of the story, children, is always trust your ass.
So after that play, I wanted to tell you a little bit about its history, its inspirations, why I did what I did. So this is Araguz. He is a traditional Arabic character. He's recognized by UNESCO as part of the Egyptian World Heritage. There's a couple of things different about my particular Araguz puppet. He should really be a brighter red, and he should have a cape. I just didn't have anything more red than this. But he always has the pointed hat. Often he has this little tassel it makes when he does things a little more visual. And the mustache. The mustache is very important for Araguz to be Araguz. And he is specifically a glove puppet, which is one of the more simple kinds out there. Araguz as a character dates back to the 14th century. And he's a cousin of Punch and Judy, of the Punch and Judy shows that are very popular in Britain, very traditional in Britain. He is a wise fool type character. He's usually pitted against some sort of authority figure, whether it's the government or a spouse or whatever, law and order of some kind. And he usually wins the day through tomfoolery, common sense, idiocy, slapstick kinds of things. And many modern Araguz stories, he actually gets to grab a little stick and beat people, again, like the Punch and Judy shows. He also has a lot of political connotations, a lot of, not necessarily commentary, not necessarily satire, but a lot of political jokes are common to Araguz as he was performed in between the 14th century and even into World War II. Modernly, he's much more for children, so there's not as much politics. But that's all part of what makes Araguz Araguz. He's very, very much an amoral character as well. His plays don't usually have a point to the story. They don't usually have a moral to the story. But for the SCA and the reason I was doing this play, doing a period puppet and a period story put together, I couldn't find scripts of Araguz, and I could not find any scripts of medieval Araguz. And I think probably part of this is because he was done by traveling performers, and it would have been important to their livelihood to not make these scripts available and to not record these things, but to hand them down as an oral tradition. And even if I had been able to find these scripts, my Arabic isn't strong enough to have understood them, and I don't think my understanding of the politics of the time would have been strong enough to understood the jokes that they were making. So even if I had found the scripts and been able to translate them, I don't think I would have been able to make them funny. I don't think I would have been able to translate the spirit of them for a modern English-speaking audience. So that left me with a puppet and no story. So what I did instead was I took the plot wholesale from a famous heehaw story. And heehaw is an even older wise fool from the Arabic tradition. He's not a puppet, he's just a story. And heehaw or joha or goha, depending on where you are and what accent of Arabic you're speaking with, what type of Arabic you're speaking, he gets into all sorts of trouble, and his country wisdom, his common sense is used to comment on culture, and it almost always has a moral in an Aesop fable kind of way, in a kind of not necessarily a brush your teeth or else moral, but in a don't lie, be nice to your neighbors, social, moral way. And heehaw stories, the humor translates into English much more easily. And this one in particular was actually told to me by one of my Iraqi Arabic teachers back in 2011. And this is actually, this story of heehaw was written down in the 9th century. It's one of the oldest heehaw stories. It's one of the older, one of the older folk stories of the Arabs. And so I lifted it completely. I added a few things that parents of small children will have picked up on from more modern things. I hope you enjoyed the giggles. My 3-year-old thought it was hilarious. But yeah, so this was an Arabic story and an Arabic puppet. They would never have originally been put together. A moral puppet, moral story didn't work in period together, but I thought for this audience it would be a really fun way to do it. Special thanks to my husband, who made an appearance as the heehaw of the donkey. This would not have worked as well without him. And yeah, I hope you really enjoyed the show.